Nigeria's leading tax authority responsible for the assessment, collection, and management of federal taxes.
The focus will be on these indirect taxes, so that as long as you consume, you have to pay. As long as you have interest on your investment, you have to pay. And this is echoing Mr. President's message that we are not going to tax the seed, but we are going to tax the fruit. The fruit is what we focus on. So all those things, when we have this holistic process, it will be captured, and that the vision is to have a progressive tax, that if you earn more, you pay more, and if you earn less, you will not pay.
Under his leadership, FIRS exceeded its 2023 revenue target of 11.55 trillion naira. As chairman of FIRS, Dr. Adedeji implemented a performance-based system aligning with the service's new slogan, simplifying tax, maximizing revenue.
Dr. Adedeji has done incredibly well in transforming and reforming the tax processes and procedures in Nigeria. In a little over a year being at the helm of the affairs of the tax body in Nigeria, we have seen a significant improvement in revenue generation. His policy of not crumbling business with taxation is something that also needs to be applauded. Souq Adedeji philosophy is taxing fruits and not the seed, and taxing prosperity, not poverty. Because if you look at the fiscal landscape of Nigeria in the past 10 years, you find that businesses have struggled to live, and that has led to the exit of so many businesses from Nigeria. But with this new reform, we're saying that the businesses will profit from the reform processes, and that will mean more business for Nigeria. We will have a lot of foreign inflow in terms of foreign direct investment that will actually drive the process of economic growth for the country. And I think he has done so well, and he deserves a kudos, especially for taking the giant stride to restructure FRS for efficiency, for accountability, and for value for money.
He has also made the welfare of the staff a top priority, fostering a positive working environment that has brought smiles to the faces of FIRS employees nationwide. Supporters of the tax reform bills highlight several key benefits, harping on the need for streamlined tax processes that could reduce bureaucratic hurdles and foster an environment where businesses can thrive.
He has initiated a lot of reform which dovetail into the tax reform bills that is before the National Assembly. This initiative is to improve on the tax administration system in Nigeria with a view to improving on the collection systems that will be beneficial to every member of the Nigerian state. Souq, as is well known, has improved on simplifying tax reform even within the federal land revenue, which in no means has improved on tax administration, and he celebrated essentially for the core initiative of the tax reform.
Under Dr. Adedeji's leadership, Nigeria's tax system has gone beyond mere policy adjustments. Its focus is on fostering sustainable growth and ensuring that the benefits of tax reforms reach both businesses and citizens.
So those that are attacking the bill, one, they are doing that in view of the formula they discovered, which may not be, will not go well for them when the bad allocation. And then secondly, they may be having the feeling that this law was just designed to favor Lagos State in the course of its own effort to become a state that has special status. Okay? It says so that will make it to be seen as if it is a country of its own, even though it's not up to the level of country, but it is higher than all other states in the country. probably this may be the reason why they are agitating. The one that you can see clearly is on this issue of VAT. And then they have other suspicion. So that is another worry that I have. The issue of trust. Trust, what do some experts call trust deficit. Yes, will be promoted greatly by this if corrective measures are not taken. Graduation has not been defined. But then people have to go by what is happening now. As they go against it. Since now the graduation is about contribution of state that are producing these goods and services being consumed. So they have the right to just say that, oh, so now instead of 20%, it will now be 60%. And then you hear the government functionaries, including members of the committee, saying that no, that's not what they mean. They mean area of consumption. This 60% graduation is about consumption area, not location of the headquarters of company that produce the good or services. You should have defined that in the law.
Contributing to long-term national development, Dr. Souq A. Adedeji's career is a testament of his unwavering commitment to improving Nigeria's financial systems and enhancing revenue generation, showcasing his exceptional expertise in corporate and public finance.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission, empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, and monitoring and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes
A very good day to you and welcome. We're reaching you live from our studios at the commercial city of Lagos. I'm Oyinpriye Krumalia. This is Souq Business Landscape, your trusted gateway to the heartbeat of business, economy, and development across Nigeria, Africa, and the global marketplace. In a world driven by shifting economic tides, rising market and strategic investment, we bring you in-depth analysis, hard-hitting interviews, and expert perspectives that unpack forces shaping today's business environment, from the boardroom decision and government policies to grassroots entrepreneurs, HIP, and the international trade deals. This is where insight meets impact, whether you're an investor, policymaker, entrepreneur, or citizen trying to make sense of the numbers that shape your world. Souq Business Landscape puts the stories, trends, and data in context. Right here every week, we have the program that brings out insights, and the anchors on the program talk on variety of issues that touch the nerve of business, economy, and development. As usual, I'm not the only one on the program. Today, I would say you're having three musketeers on the program, including myself. Good day and good morning. No, it's afternoon. It depends on where you're watching us from, though.
We are global, so good morning, good afternoon,
good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Souq, John Rogers Souq, and this is SBL. Thank you, Priya, for having us again.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So, to you, Olumide.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're from. So glad to be here on Souq Business Landscape. I am Olumide Shokoya. Thanks, Priya, for having us.
Okay, so first of all, let's just briefly run around a few of the things, if not all, maybe a few of them we're going to talk about before the commencement of the program. 77, okay, well, let's say 3,000 housing units. Will I be right if I say that? Or 77,400 housing units across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory? Or would I say 250 housing units for each of the states in the 36? So which one does Chooks go with?
Well, right now, I'm on my knees praying that God should deliver us from whatever it is that is making us think in that direction. But hey, when we get to that particular bridge, we won't cross it.
We won't cross it?
Definitely we won't cross it.
Oh, okay. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about the housing unit for Olumide, so it doesn't repeat what you said. I'm hoping that we're going to cross every bridge when we get there. So, not just the housing unit. Lagos is a blue trail line. Did it get your attention? Do you think anything greater than what we've met on ground is coming?
Well, the blue line, the first about the blue line, the red line, it's good. It's a welcome development, but I'm looking at whereby the routes are expanded. Right now, the blue line, I think, is running from Marina to Mile 2. I mean, we need to expand that. And it doesn't really cut through neighborhoods, areas, and all that. So I'm looking, and again, if you look at it, it's run by electricity. And we know what the national grid and power in Nigeria is. So if you look at the cost of these things, it's quite on the high side. But I'm also looking at, Lagos is a metropolitan state. I'm also looking at a situation whereby I think the goal of it is to divert traffic, divert people from using the regular cars and all that, and into a safer route of transportation, which is the train.
I see.
I think that's the aim of it. In developing countries, that's the aim. So I believe that maybe 2030, I think that's the goal, we would get to that situation whereby I don't have to, use my car. I can travel from here to Abuja, I can travel from here to Kano via train.
The train. Well, we hope that will be the case here. Now, for us to delve into the meat of the conversation, we're briefly going to break. When we return, we'll jump into the work for today. It's Souq Business Landscape. I'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Afrobeats is a classic overnight success story, except it didn't happen overnight.
I'm happy to be here. One of the key things about the Omniverse is that it's designed to go beyond an event and designed to be fully something that people can engage beyond the summit. The point being that Nigeria has so much to bring to the world in terms of these things, but we will be bringing fresh energy, fresh ideas, a fresh engagement, and we're obviously open to collaboration. But hip-hop, it never dies. What's the difference between Thor and Shango? Thor is approaching $50 billion in revenue. Shango's broke somewhere outside Lagos. And that's a lack of imagination on our part, Africa, and they're all Nigerian. So to be seen and to be noticed is very hard if you're not in the place where all the noise is being made.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. Let's begin with our first story. The federal government is planning to build over 77,000 housing units for poor and displaced Nigerians under its Renewed Hope social housing program. A source in the Ministry of Housing says the scheme will provide 100,000 homes, 100 homes in each of the country's 774 local government areas, targeting internally displaced persons, widows, and low-income earners earning 77,000 naira or less. Though the program is yet to be officially launched, approval is expected soon. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs will help identify those most in need of this housing scheme. Beneficiaries with no income will get homes for free, while low-income earners will pay a small subsidized fee. Well, the program is yet to be launched. I'm not surprised why those with low income earning will be, their housing or the house they are going to get will be subsidized. And those who there's a category of people there who will be getting those houses for free. And I was thinking about the number of those people and the number of housing units you are going to be having in each state, and how these persons can have access, and at the same time, those will be coming to either buy or rent those apartments, and how, if this project is something that is sustainable, self-sustaining, so that we do not only have these houses in those located areas, but also in the next 5-10 years, by virtue of how much we've garnered from that housing scheme, we'll be able to build other housing units within each state. What's your perspective?
My perspective is government is not Father Christmas. Let's not reduce government to what it is not. And everything is not about politics. There are areas to which you can make political statements or try to be popular, and we will understand. Not this. Because when we dive into this with this kind of project, we are only going to create rancor in local government. Now there are 774 local governments.
Okay.
And you are saying you are building 100 housing units in each local government. You are not building a housing unit to sell or make profit. You're building a housing unit to directly dash.
It's for rental.
Dash.
No,
Not all.
Not all.
Low income earners.
Now, low income earners, they will pay
5,000
they'll pay 5,000
per month.
per month. No, let's be realistic and now tell ourselves some big truth. Is it possible? No. This is a fallacy right from the get-go. Now you're going to build and dash. They say those that can't afford it, you dash them. Now, this is another question I need to ask.
I think maybe you use the word for free. They're going to
for
get
free.
it for free.
In our balance, it's called dash.
More.
You understand what I mean, right? Like dash somebody something, dash person house. Now let's get to ask ourselves these basic questions. Nigeria, we are 40.1% of Nigerians are poor. 72%, 63% of Nigerians are multi-dimensionally poor. This statistics is coming from our own body, Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. I don't know if you understand. Now, we have a housing deficit that is the highest in the world. And our Federal Mortgage Bank is telling us that we need 700,000 houses every year for 20 years to be able to bridge the gap. And now, a group is waking up. Government group is waking up and telling us they are building 100 houses in every local government. It's not even the local government. If it's local government that is taking this initiative, I'll say, okay, good and fine. They have a plan for the people within their local government. Now, this is majorly political. At the end of the day, what are we going to get? Who gets and who doesn't get? I don't know if you know that. Who gets and who doesn't get? In the local government, that amount of housing alone won't even be enough for some local governments. So how do you distribute it? It now boils down to another channel of corruption. How do you account for that money? Another channel of corruption. How do you even vet and veto? There are several things that we really need to question.
Okay, but if that's the case, Mr. Chooks, if you look at it very well, I know whilst the Minister of State for Housing, Yusuf Atta, was saying that the housing challenge is meant to solve, to provide mass housing for Nigerians by mass housing by virtue of the Renewed Hope.
Where is the hold on? Last year we had
just a moment.
We had another
just a moment. Just a moment.
So
we have about
renewed hope.
3,000
What has happened to that
3,000 housing units
Okay.
within Lagos, Abuja, and Kano, 250 housing units each for this state, at least for a starting point.
250 units each,
at least that's for a start. Because
is it a dormitory?
I went to start. No. That is where I'm heading to. So I went to research about a single housing. I was told that a housing unit does not mean a group of housing. That it could be that housing unit means a family, a household, dwell in, just like a housing unit is suitable for a household.
How many rooms for a family?
Suitable for a family.
Since they are targeting the poor, it shouldn't be more than a room.
No, at least a room and a parlor and a few other facilities. Okay. At least 2 rooms, if that's what they are targeting.
Okay.
And now, let me land. So if they are going to do that, and we consider 250, it also gave out the reason that the government will need to acquire land for us to for those housing units to be built. So give or take, we are looking at 250 houses, one for each family. Though I consider it very, very inadequate and insufficient if that is going for a state. How do you distribute that?
How do you map out the poor? How do you say, okay, this person qualified, that person doesn't qualify?
Okay, before we look at before we start looking at that, before we start looking at the challenges that comes with this project, let's look at the positive side first. Let's look at the positive side first. No. Can we just focus on the positive first? Of course, we are going to come to all those challenges that will put the government on the edge. Because if you look at the issues,
did something bigger than this in Lagos.
Wait, I know.
And Lagos State was able to replicate that. Can we replicate this based?
Great. Now we are beginning to focus on the positive because we're going to have time to look at the negatives as well. Yes, Olumide.
Well, just like Souq said, over a population of over 200 million, 77,000 is not...
No. We are looking at the positives first. Let's look at the positives. We all agree that there is housing deficit in the country at the moment. And if the government, by way of what he had in his manifesto, is coming up with something, let's look at the group of people or the category of people that this agenda is tailored towards, and the likelihood that they are going to get something. Of course, it won't be providing housing for the 220 million people in Nigeria. Yes. True. Let's look at the positives.
All right, the positive: widows, internally displaced persons, and people earning below 77,000 are going to get homes for themselves, maybe whether a family of 1 or 2, 3. So, and we all know what rent is in this country, especially in Lagos. So, taking rent off the shoulders of a particular family, if a father, the mother, the widow, or whoever, is something, it will bring succor to that particular family that, oh yes, I don't have to pay rent. Or probably for the low-income earners that be paying like 5,000, okay, I have to just pay 5,000 naira per month or something like that, or a very little amount to pay for rent. It is good. It would actually bring some sort of relief, respite, and all that. So yes, it's commendable, but upping that figure would have been better.
Would have been better. Okay, so now let me give my positive before we go to the negative.
It's not about positive and negative.
No, we're looking at the pros and the cons.
I forced it right from the very beginning. There's something called sustainability. You don't start a project that's going to, at the end of the day, become an issue with whoever is starting it, the community where it's going to.
Great. So I need to drop the ball when it comes to the positive. So let me give my positive take on it. Then we can begin to look at the cons, the pros and the cons. Now, remember that in states like Lagos and including other states, there are some other states that we were told that there is some form of congestion. And if the government is coming up with a scheme like this, I tend to see that we will most likely be faced with a project of expanding cityscapes, whether it's building in Abuja, in Lagos, in Kano, or in other parts. Whilst I was going through it too, I was making my calculations. And it was giving me, I think it gave me about 3 for the purpose of land and the management of land. I think it's a basic estimate for low density housing. An average per area per unit will be 0.5 to 0.25 areas. That you're looking at 0.1 acre, which will be 4,356 square meters. That's for urban lot. And if you multiply that by the number of housing that the government needs to build, at least to start with, in each phase, we'll be looking at about 25. We'll be looking at 3,000 to 5,000 acres of land.
That's way.
To be looking at 5,000 acres of land. So I am looking at
that's way too much.
Just wait just a moment, guys. If we are looking at the housing that is a little bit bigger than this, we'll be looking at between 15,000 to 19,000 acres of land. Now, I'm looking at those acres of land in places that we should occupy, that the government should take advantage of by opening up some of the city landscape so we can have dwellers there instead of bringing congestion into the city. That is equally one of the positives that I'm looking at.
Can I add one positive?
Yes, please.
Now, from what I'm reading, from the report I'm reading here, it says the builds will be local, both in rural and urban, using local materials, modular, prefab method, and it will also drive local employment. That means certain people will get that contract to build these things. And, it's also, from what I'm reading here also, as at April 2025, it has been shifted to about 100,000 units. Okay. And the legislation for the National Social Housing Fund is still pending in the National Assembly and Federal Executive Council, and implementation is due by the end of 2025. So which means certain adjustments can still be made.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now to the cons that Souq is itching for.
I'm not itching.
Okay.
I believe the federal government should be able to take care of her citizens. That is her primary responsibility, protect and provide. Now, when we are protecting and providing, we should do it with business sense and not shoot ourselves in the foot. If we say we are providing accommodation for those that can't afford it, there are things called dormitories. There are things called living quarters. If you say somebody that cannot afford accommodation, somebody that is not employed, and you are giving the person a building, you are giving the person responsibility the person cannot cater for. Let's be factual. Typical example. Some years back, a government in this country built police quarters. If you're going to Abuja, once you're entering to Abuja, if you're coming through the the double lane, built police quarters for junior staff police quarters, and those houses were given out to the policemen. What happened to them at the end of the day? Some were sold, some were just used, and it's just there. At the end of the day, they sold most of them. The last time I crossed, I think they've almost demolished part of them.
The police officers who got the houses, we sold them.
Yes. They've demolished some of them, and they are building, those that bought the place are building something else on it. There's something called responsibility. Can these people you are trying to target, why not get them employed first? Why not get them to be gainfully doing something that can generate a living for them before now start giving them the responsibility of giving them a house that they might not be able to take care of? Now, how can government replicate this same exercise? Because if we say we are trying to get this done, we should be able to replicate it. What happened to local government? This should be the responsibility of the local government. Then we should also remember this. We are Africans. How do we subexist where we come from? There are family lands. There are family houses that are passed on from generation to generation. The local government is in a better position to get into that particular line and establish this particular kind of building within these families. We are nuclear people on the outside, but we are extended family people in culture. Nobody is an outsider where we come from. So families that grow to be local government should be able to take care of themselves. That is where we should be looking at. And not just looking at each person as a nuclear person.
Okay, so if we are to look at it let's look at this perspective. From the example you painted from the police officers that were given junior police officers.
Very, very low-ranking junior officers.
They're still police officers. They're still police officers that were given houses by the government of the day. And at the end, at the same time, they ended up sold those
that's
houses
even part one.
on the land.
Hold on, sorry. Let me bring more example. Abuja came with a whole lot of beautiful issues. Now, those that were relocated, the locals that were relocated were taken to some particular places, and the houses were built for them. At the end of the day, what happened? They sold them.
They sold the houses.
And as we speak now, a lot of them don't even have a place call their own, because somebody somewhere will come with big money, and that person cannot say no.
Okay, so whilst that means it is incumbent on the government, whenever it's bringing out policies of this sort, to also go back and take a look at other policies that are similar, that the governments of previous administration has actually ditched out, so that they can look at the loopholes, look at the challenges, and bring in those fault lines into limelight, so we can make policies to mitigate those effects. Now, if the government is going to be building houses, and some of this project that has been done before has been mismanaged and misused because they built houses and handed the key over to these persons, can't the government build these houses and rent them out on that basis alone, and a subsidized rental to be paid, since it's catering to the people at the head of society? What do you think, Olumide?
It's not bad, but like Chuk said, why not provide something that they can use to get money and rent this house? Because if you say, oh, I'm giving someone, an internally displaced person, first of all, an internally displaced person doesn't even have anything, any source of income. So how would you expect that person to be able to pay even as low as 5,000? Why not give him a job or provide something, create something that out of it, maybe 10% or 15% out of that, he uses to pay rent as low as 5,000. Widows also, how would you take care of that too?
Okay, so if we're looking at, there are special cases where the government can begin to have considerations, because I think that if the government is going to build these houses and give them out for rent, for someone to pay as low as 5,000 naira, then I think
5,000 per month.
5,000 naira per month. Okay, even if the government is going to subsidize it to 2,500 or 3,000 naira per month, and some of these people can foot the bill, then it denied them the advantage of selling the house or selling the land to some other persons who can afford to buy it and maybe resold and redeveloped. In that way, the government can sustain, because we were talking about sustainability from the beginning. In that way, the government can sustain the 250 housing units, and for another years to come, the government can still maintain that and get the proceeds from those ones by way of rental to reestablish another form of housing unit for the poorest of the poor at the head of society.
Okay, there's this particular policy China does. They have local governments there too. The local government makes money majorly from selling lands. They sell lands to developers. The government funds the bank to give loans to the developer
mortgage bank
at a minus interest. I don't know if you're
negative.
Now you understand the circle. Now the developer will now get land from the local government and build, and the people will now come and rent to buy. So as you're paying a rent, at the end of the day, the house is eventually going to be yours. But you are renting to own the house.
To own the
house, yes. That is what we should be practicing here. Yes. Now, there are other people that might not be able to afford it. That is where we are going to.
Yes.
The people this project is for, this policy is for, are those that cannot afford it. More than 80% of Nigerians cannot afford a house. So how do we get us into that bracket? How do we get people into that bracket? Lagos State government have done several of this kind of projects. Yes. And they are still doing the same. Now, the federal government should emulate from Lagos State government. Other states too should emulate from Lagos State government. But now, we should also
They didn't pay cheap in Lagos. We can't be talking about 5,000 naira in Lagos, because I knew of that project you are talking
it's
about.
Not cheap, but it's not. You can't compare it to the price of that private developers.
But yet it will run into millions, because I had information about that.
Yes, but project. Not as much as civil servants could actually pay for that without putting their hands in dirty places.
Okay,
definitely.
There's a clause to that.
Yes, so without putting their hands in dirty places. Now, other states should also emulate the same thing. Then now, let's always remember we are a cultural people. Typical example, in the East, it's difficult for you to go build mass housing in somebody's village. They won't live there. There's an attachment to land based on ancestry. I don't know if you understand. So if you have to build that kind of thing, get them involved. So if you are building this kind of houses, then good, that means you are building a market or you are building a dormitory. where those that are working in the cities there can always go, sleep over, go to work, and pay. That makes it easy. But when it comes to owning the house in that part of the country, then get the people themselves involved. Now, it's different in the north. You have, okay, how would you deal with this and the Al-Majri system? So see, a lot of policies has to do with the people being involved.
Okay, so now let's look at a specific area that is quite sensitive in this housing scheme. Do remember that in places where we have Boko Haram and bandits that, destroyed, sent people away, burnt villages to the ground, we knew that there are people who are doing well by way of living, by way of business, and their standard of living, who are doing well. But as a result of this encroachment by the terrorists, they lost their livelihood, they lost their houses, and now currently as we speak, they are living in IDP camps. Shouldn't this government, if it's going to give out houses, if it's going to be giving out houses to some certain people, and there's a category of people that's going to be getting these houses for free, shouldn't we be looking at some of these persons who were displaced by way of terrorism and their livelihoods taken out of them, their own houses burnt to the ground, and their communities are a no-go area? Shouldn't the government give priority to these people to build them a shelter and take them away from the IDP camps?
Oh, if we're looking at IDP camps, some IDP camps, one IDP camp will consume that entire housing project. One IDP camp. I also remember that some IDP camps are not even in the states where there are conflict. There are IDP camps in Edo. So people are coming all the way from the northwest, north central, and moving down to Edo. How do you deal with that? Are they going to build these houses in Edo? The community too will have issues.
To be involved.
Will have issues if they agree in the first place. There's a lot of things involved. But I believe that if you empower a man being man and woman, empower a man to be able to get his hands dirty and work, housing will not be an issue. But first, we should start looking at places, dormitories where people can go, put their heads, and go and work. Okay. These are things that we should consider a lot in this country.
All right.
There are some in Lagos already, some run by churches, some run by missionaries, but we should really look into that.
Okay, thank you very much, Chooks. Now we go on a break. When we return, we will be moving on to the second story in our conversation today. It's Souq Business Landscape from Souq News Television. Stay with us.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Cocoa remains a significant cash crop in Nigeria, predominantly produced by small-scale farmers in the country's southwest region. Historically, cocoa served as a major source of foreign earnings until the 1970s, when the discovery of petroleum shifted the focus away from agriculture. Despite various challenges from its introduction in 1807 to the present, efforts by successive governments and the resilience of cocoa farmers have sustained its production. To better optimize productivity and ensure fair prices for farmers and high economic returns for the government, the Cocoa Marketing Board, CMB, was established in 1947. However, the goal was not totally achieved as pricing policy weren't favorable, discouraging farmers from producing export crops, and that eventually led to the board's abolition in 1986. These resulted in reduced yields and lower quality cocoa beans. Meanwhile, the millennium era witnessed a shift in farmers' focus towards more economically viable crops like oil palm due to the high cost and intensive care required for cocoa production. Cocoa production faces several obstacles, including limited access to fertilizers, unfavorable climate conditions, pest infestation,
poor infrastructure, and land shortages. Also, herders' attack on farmers have deterred farmers from expanding their farmlands. According to research, despite challenges, cocoa production has empowered many farmers and more stakeholders in the value chain, improving their living standards, enabling them to provide education for their children, cover medical expenses, and build better homes. Concerning the future of cocoa farming in Nigeria, there are mixed opinions among farmers. Some are hopeful that government reinvestment and addressing current challenges can revive the sector's past success. Others are pessimistic due to the persistent issues and the trend of farmers shifting to other crops. Regardless, hope remains for the sector. Solutions like improving land-labor relations, infrastructure, and financial support could revitalize cocoa production, reduce out migration, stabilize prices, and enhance value chain development, ultimately securing a brighter future for Nigerian cocoa farming and its stakeholders. Ojai Michael, reporting for Souq News.
Cocoa has more than tripled in costs over the past year and is up 129% this year. The rise in cocoa prices is likely due to a global cocoa shortage. Climate change-induced drought has ravaged crops in West Africa, which contributes around 80% of the world's cocoa output. According to the International Cocoa Association, global cocoa supply will decline by almost 11% over the 2023-24 season. The world produces nearly 6 million tons of cocoa beans each year, and consumers may begin to feel the impact of this shortage by the end of this year or early next year. Nigeria's cocoa earnings in the first quarter of this year surged by 279%, driven by a sharp increase in its prices in the international market. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) indicates that in the first 3 months of the year, the value of cocoa exports totaled 408.66 billion naira. This represents an increase of 279% from the 179.5 billion naira recorded in the first 3 months of 2023.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. And to our second story, Nigeria's Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, has joined world leaders in Monaco to discuss sustainable ocean development, the Blue Economy and Finance Forum, hosted by Prince Albert II, ahead of the United Nations Ocean Conference, brought together key figures including Prince William, French President Emmanuel Macron, and Brazil's President Lula da Silva. Speaking on behalf of President Tinubu, Oyetola reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to protecting marine ecosystems, improving ocean governance, and promoting investment in the blue economy. He also held strategic meetings with the global partners to strengthen cooperation in marine conservation and sustainable ocean finance across West and Central Africa. Gentlemen, when President Bola Tinubu came into the saddle, one of the things that you started hearing from that time is marine and blue economy. It threw up lots of questions, eyebrows were raised, and I know when the designation of Mr. Wale Edun, had coordinating minister of the economy and finance minister, Wale Edun. So as journalists, we begin to dissect it. But this particular ministry, blue economy, marine and blue economy, I believe this is one of the economy, or this is one of the ministry that Nigerians have been waiting for to see the economic bearing it will have with the president's expectation to not only attract IGR or to attract foreign direct investment, but also to expand Nigeria's marine and shipping industry for us to have quite some benefit. Do you think we are up the ante? We are doing good in that aspect, or we're still watching to see the miraculous in that ministry?
You like miracle a lot, eh? That's good. It's good to have hope. It's the renewed hope season. So let your hope not dwindle and not wane.
Yes.
For we in this side of the divide, we were blessed with that ministry. So for the president to come up and say, we are going to have a ministry of blue
economy, that
means expectation, not just from him, but from all of us. Now, some people might not understand. Over 90% of import-export happens over the sea, over the ocean. And that is also under that particular ministry. How much of that particular business is operated by Nigerians or Africans? That's where we should start. That's what we should start looking at. Who is ferrying Nigerian goods outside this country? Who is bringing goods into this country that Nigeria is using? We are not just a port. We are one of the major ports in West Africa. So a lot of other African countries depend on us. So it gets here, then it's moved to other African countries. So how much of a player are we in that particular sector? That is what I'm looking forward to seeing, be it NIMASA, be it the Shippers Council, be it every of the policy they've had over years. They had the cabotage policy, they had several other ones that was directly drawn for Nigerian shippers. So can we stand up as we speak now and say Nigerian shippers come first when it comes to moving Nigerian goods or bringing in goods from outside the country for Nigerians or Africans? That is what we should be looking at right now. And that is where I really want the president to stand up and also stamp his authority. People always look at the side of moving oil product. These contracts have been signed long time ago. And it's going to take a whole lot of beating the demon to get them off the foreign people that are moving them. But now, what about the consumable goods? What about the everyday kind of equipment that are coming into Nigeria? What about our agricultural products that we're sending out?
Okay.
Where are Nigerian shippers? Where are we playing? Then now, let's also look at the foreign trawlers that are fishing in Nigerian waters. We are losing well over $600 million every year. That's locally.
$600 million
every year. That is locally. What about the one that are exporting? Who is holding them onto it? Nigerian waters is open, and foreign trawlers are cashing out. We should be the major players. Okay. It's our waters.
Okay.
The fish in our own.
Okay. The fish, according to Chooks, the fish in our home. Okay. So now, Olumide, your perspective.
Yeah, I like to look at the positive sides here. Now, Nigeria's blue economy is valued globally, according to reports, at $1.5 trillion and projected to grow to $3 trillion by 2030. Now, let's look at another thing I would like to point out here. According to a report, the Federal Ministry of Maritime and Blue Economy oversees 4 maritime agencies, and the total revenue as at between January and November 2024 reached 850.3 billion naira. That's between January and November 2024. Which
naira.
Is like, yes, billion naira, 850. Yes, it's quite small. I know where you are going, so hold your horses. Now, but it is a 77% increase over the 479 billion naira in 2023.
Okay.
So it's, yes, we are still growing. Just like
are we growing or we're just scratching the surface?
77% increase is it's not minimal.
So if you say 77% increase, doesn't that increase depend on what we were making before and that we made a little bit,
okay.
a little
that whole figure that just came out now is less than what one shipping line outside this country makes in a year.
Okay.
So not what profit after service in a year.
Okay.
And those shipping lines are plying our waters.
Okay, Chooks, you made something very remarkable that I would like to. You talked about the trawlers and where you now use the local parlance, the fish in our homes. So I want to quickly read. Say the economic growth. The blue economy fosters economic growth through various sectors like fisheries, aquaculture, shipping, tourism, renewable energy, and marine biotechnology. So you also talked about Nigerian ports. That is a major port in the continent of Africa. So when Olumide was quoted that if you value the Nigerian, that industry about $1.5 trillion, and I was just looking, because when we value things this way, for me, what I'm just thinking is, okay, I want to assume the government is making $1 trillion. Or is
value is
no,
different.
I know value, potential.
You said hope
the potential.
now.
So I'm hoping that the
Thank you very
government
much.
is seeing an avenue to make $1.5 trillion, and is really gunning for it. Because the same way we spoke about Nigerian telecommunications industry, and they said Nigerian telecommunication has the potential to generate $10 billion. And I'm looking at it, okay, imagine the government harnessing, I'm hoping rather, that it takes the bull by the horn, and we are making $10 billion. We cannot begin to talk about other sectors now. Look at the potential involved in it, and if the government participation really comes with or lives to average, we could be getting substantial amount where we'll stop having deficit in our budget and all of that. But this is where exactly I'm going. When you talk about Nigerian ports being major ports in the continent of Africa, I looked at the works of a professional, an expert in that field, and he said at the moment now, Niger is a landlocked country, and some other countries that are proximate to Nigeria, they are landlocked countries, and they were just depending on the Nigerian ports to get the goods shipped into this country. Then we in turn move it into the interlands to get into these countries, So those countries were depending on us. But due to some dilapidated state of the Nigeria infrastructure and the number of days that you spend to clear your goods in the Nigerian ports, for Nigeria it is 21 days. I was told in Ghana it is 3 days. And some other
in some countries
in other African countries, I was told you can do that in a day. In South Africa, it's that in hours or maybe like a day or two. So if that is the case, what can we do? Because if we say we are looking at marine and blue economy, and we look at the state of our port, they are in a dilapidated state.
Not all, though.
Not all, yes, but we have not started harnessing what we need to harness. And we are other shipping companies in Nigeria are turning their attention down to South Africa and down to Ghana. And Niger, which is a landlocked country and is proximate to Nigeria here, because of the bureaucratic bottlenecks, cannot depend on our ports system, will now have to turn attention to Ghana and to tell their markets and their clients abroad to send their ship or their goods to Ghana or to South Africa.
Or to Benin.
Or to Benin.
Small Benin.
Can't you see that we are losing?
But still small Benin.
Can't you see that we are losing?
There is something Doc will always say. He said we should put Nigeria first. It is more of a pointer to where we are coming from. And the present administration has barely 2 years. So if possible, let's have a statesman that the goalpost is not the next election, but the goalpost is delivering on that 1-point-something trillion economy from the... So even if we hit 100 billion in 2 years, that has taken care of our budget for next year.
True.
So these are things I am really looking forward to. And for people that are in this sector, this is our gateway to financial freedom. And we can't leave it in the hands of foreigners. This is a mistake we are making. China has built well over 230 ports in Africa and around the globe. They know why they are doing it. They are opening up markets for their goods to flood the place, and also opening up chains for to take raw materials back to where they need it for energy and other things. So why can't we see the light and hold a grip on this particular revenue earner? Our ports is the gateway to to sales. It's the gateway to the market. Then for the renewables,
yes,
how serious are we? China is making money off seaweed. Our ports, our beach land, ocean land spans from Lagos all the way to Calabar. That's well over 700 kilometers. So be it the seaweed, be it renewable energy, be it tourism, we have everything on our laps. What are we doing with it?
Okay.
So we should start calling ourselves to order.
All right.
Not just government, but we as a people too, because the opportunity is there. How are we utilizing it?
Okay, so Olumide, there's an aspect that I would like to consider, and we cannot just brush past it, because if we do, we might not be giving due attention to it, and that part is had to do with security. And I know when it talk about security in this aspect, if we go to the Niger Delta, we can begin to reference Tantita and its exploits over there. One of the conversation I had with Doug, and I complained bitterly about why we have ports in Lagos State and we are not opening up the space in the Niger Delta. And that's the reason why it is named the Niger Delta, because we have access to sea. And why we're not opening, why is it that all this attention coming to Lagos? And there is nothing bad coming to Lagos, but in order for us to open up the market space and for us to have a level playing ground where other goods coming from outside the shores could have easy access into Nigeria and not only just through Lagos. And he was talking about he was mentioning issues like the ports or the rivers in the Niger Delta, they are not well protected. Because if he said that, we'll be turning our attention to the Nigerian Navy, because we know the Nigerian Navy is active on that side. And that, so what can we do about security?
Why is Lagos protected and that side is not protected?
No, okay, no. So
is it not the same ocean? Once you cross the ocean, is the next country.
That's the question. So I put a question to him too. So what's your perspective?
I think the Niger Delta is a sensitive issue that we really need to. It goes beyond marine and blue economy. I think there's political will involved there.
Political will.
Yes, involved there. Somehow we've not been able to get that particular place right, and it has caused a whole lot of things. So I don't want to go into politics because if you have to discuss about Niger Delta, you might have to go into politics. So I think it's a very sensitive issue that has some underlying factors, which until it is resolved, we can't really look at that place as somewhere we can use to generate real income. I mean, we have the Niger Delta boys there. They are complaining about so many things and all that, and the federal government, are they actually answering them? Is there a negotiation table going on and all that? We have the Niger Delta Commission. What is that commission? What has that commission really achieved and all? So it's a really sensitive issue that I think the government really needs to sit down with these people who we claim to own that particular place.
Okay, so in my conversation, I actually took it out. I'm like, okay, could that be called economic marginalization? Because if the Lagos ports are faring the way they are faring over here, and sometimes we'll talk about congestion here in Lagos, from the Tinkan port, from the Apapa port, if we look at it deeply, we'll talk about congestion. And probably, could that be the reason why we have 21 days before, that's almost a month, before people can get their goods off the port? Because if we open up the space in the Niger Delta, and we make it very easy, and the government reinforce security on that part of town to make sure that whatever is coming to the country through that route is also secured by having the Nigerian Navy and equipping the Nigerian Navy to be up to the task to defend that. On that. So we begin to, because there are other issues where we've heard people attack some boats, or they went to kidnap and they escaped through the Lagos, the waterways and through their routes, and they were apprehended. So why can't we have this replication of beefing up security in the Niger Delta so we can have ships safe?
I said I don't want to go into politics. I know we've heard so many times that the Niger Navy has been fingered to be part of this whole thing going on in the Niger Delta. Let me just put that there.
Okay, if they have been fingered, or if they have been fingered,
so
if they've been accused or accused, Have they been accused or alleged?
Alleged. Let's put it
Lagos.
Allegation.
If they've been alleged, have they been alleged?
Some personnel of the Nigerian Navy.
Yes, some personnel. If they've been alleged in the Niger Delta, have they been alleged in the Lagos waters?
Security cut across. It doesn't matter where you are.
Because that is one of the reasons why
there are issues here too. But how come it's always put in check? This is where ownership comes to play. Where are the people from the Niger Delta? Where are the businessmen from the Niger Delta? Where are those that want to invest in the Niger Delta? These are the questions we should start asking ourselves. Are they people taking off government? Are they the people government has made? Are they those that have made money off government? What have they done for that same Niger Delta they claim to be part of? These are the questions we should be asking ourselves.
But don't you think if the situation had been put right there, then investors can have the privilege and the opportunity to come? It's the responsibility of the government to put it. Of course, security is the responsibility of the government.
I agree with you.
Section 14, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
I agree with you. Is it the government that, let me get very personal now, is it the government that told your village head to make sure that people don't transgress on people's farms?
On people's farms?
Yes.
I'm trying to get the logic behind it.
It's just a simple logic. Is it the federal government that told your village head or told my father to make sure that nobody trespasses on people's farms in the house?
The security...
I'm just asking a simple
No, because I'm equally just saying rhetorically, because the protection of lives and property and the maintenance of security is the
primary good
of the government, not of the village head.
Now, imagine, I brought it very, very low. Now, it's the same way that, because my father will stand up and tell the next compound, don't do this. And he will stand his ground. It's the same way the community will tell the next community, please, don't let your children trespass into our farm settlement. Everybody will agree. It's the same way the people of the Niger Delta should stand up as a unit, as a people, and say, okay, good, this is our port. This is our business place. We are going to develop it. Government, play your part. And not just staying and we'll come in front of the, come in the media and we'll keep these rhetorics year after year. It turns to a decade. It turns to 10 decades. What have the people done? And stop blaming the government.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me give you a typical example. There is a Dangote here. The refinery was not supposed to be here.
Yes.
But somebody...
Was it supposed to be in the Niger Delta?
Yes.
No. I thought it was
initially,
in Ogun State.
Yes.
Ogun State is the Niger Delta.
No. That was the first place. That was the first as the second. This is the third. Okay. Then somebody lured him and said, hey, come. We can get it done here. So why have we in the Niger Delta not done the same? I don't know if you understand. We should, if we say we like this land, then let's invest in it. Not just our money, but let's also invest our time and our love for the place. Let it show. Government is not going to do everything. There is a port, Lekki Deep Sea. Good. That's the second. And the third one that is coming in Lagos. Hey.
Lagos.
Yes, Lagos.
Again,
yes.
Lagos.
Because people have stood up and said Lagos is going to work.
Okay.
So the same way, those in the Niger Delta, stand up and make your place count.
Okay, thank you very much. But I don't buy that. But saying people have stood up to say, it's going to work.
People should stand up. Is it the people, the militants, or
no? Now see, see where we are getting it wrong. Business people, core business people, the technocrats, the politicians, all of them need to come together and make it work.
Okay.
But the government, like he said, provides that protection.
When you come together, government might moves.
No.
Yes.
No, then you are putting the cat before the horse.
No. When you come together,
it is a responsibility of the government to create a conducive, business-friendly environment, either in the Niger Delta, in Lagos, in Kano State, or in Borno State.
Keep quiet and sit.
See.
I don't understand.
That is no.
It's a choice.
It is not about militancy. The government has done a lot to get that off the way. If the government has done a lot to get that off the way, then it is incumbent on the government to make sure that our place is business friendly.
Who is the government?
Whilst I don't want to flog that issue.
Who is the government?
So for what I'm going to say, to you and about the people of the Niger Delta, to make sure that this runs, is the names that I'm going to call. That the current minister of the Federal Capital Territory.
Everybody needs to
just
come
a
to
moment,
that
please. Just a moment. The current minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, His Excellency Nyesom Wike. The current governor of Delta State, who recently jumped ship from the PDP to the APC. The Minister of Aviation and Aeronautics, Mr. Festus Keyamo, and other governors and prominent people in the Niger Delta should, because they should understand that terrain and what that will bring into the economy of that region. And if they are not going to use their political position and their proximity to power, just a moment,
the business people.
No, of course, see, no, I'm coming, Chooks. I am coming, Chooks. If these people who are in the corridors of power cannot influence the current administration to turn its eyes to shipping, to ports operation, just the way they are faring in Lagos, to replicate same in the Niger Delta, and to be thinking that the current master plan using Lagos as the single state for us to be attracting goods into the country through the waterways, and that is going to develop the marine and blue economy, I think it will be wrong. So, because if these people who have asked, these people that I have mentioned, I know that's where I am going. That is why I said those are the stakeholders. So if they are not going to, they have to use their position to attract the business economy, because until these persons who are in the corridors of power stand their ground by way of lobbying to make that place accessible for themselves and for the business community to come invest their money, because so that the investment will be safe, then we will not be making any headway. And the projection of Mr. President to make the marine and the blue economy what is going to be to maybe contribute its quota to be the $1 trillion economy might just, you know what, fall flat on its face. That's what I wanted to say. And on that note, we're going to break. When we're back, we'll go to our third conversation. Do stay with us.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job. Lateef Jakande. Born Lateef Kayode Jakande in the Ekbetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State, on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enowa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakande began a career in journalism in 1949 with a daily service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakande editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakande established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakande ran for election as executive governor of Lagos State in 1979 on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. His administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakande established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakande was charged prosecuted and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakande was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakande, Souq Enlightenment.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. Now, from one aspect of transportation, we're moving on to another aspect of transportation. And this time, we're not talking about the Niger Delta or coming back home in Lagos. Lagos commuters can now expect faster train rides along the Blue Rail line. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says traveling time between Marina and Mile 2 will drop from 18 minutes to just under 10 minutes, thanks to the arrival of the three new trains with 12 coaches each. He made the announcement while handing over the new trains to Lagos State Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA. The governor added that daily trips would increase, making the service more reliable and predictable. Sanwo-Olu also thanked President Bola Tinubu for his support, noting that more coaches are expected for the Red Line before the end of the year. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Railway Corporation has extended special train services on the Lagos-Ibadan and Abuja-Kaduna routes till Tuesday, following a surge in passenger demand during the Eid holidays. Yeah, now, that is the story we're going to be talking about. However, we want you to listen to the governor. We have a clip for you to play. Take a look at this.
The president also deemed it fit, and we're very grateful. We've expressed it before, to have supported us financially extensively in the procurement of this additional rolling stock. And so now you can see that his agenda is working, and is working very well for us in Lagos State. On behalf of the government and the people of Lagos State, we want to thank Mr. President, we want to thank the federal government, we want to thank everybody that has been part of our journey. And I want to say that this is just the tip of it. I want to assure you that before the end of the year, also we're going to be seeing brand new trains like this on the Red Line.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us. You see the reason that we most times make Lagos State as an example when we are referring to regional development or subnational development or the performance of the governors or the chief executive officers of these respective states. He mentioned two things, or we can deduce two things from the article there. He talked about travel time being reduced from 18 minutes to 10 minutes. I believe that will replicate what we currently have in Canada, if not in the UK. And Lagos is not only doing this in Lamata, where the trains will be running. They're also doing this in the bus rapid transit. That's the BRT system. So are we going to say Lagos is working? If you listen to the governor, he says the agenda. Lagos has an agenda, an economic agenda, and obviously it seems to be working. Chooks.
President is quite... Yeah, these are things that were in the works coming. These are plans that people stood and said this is going to happen years back, and we're only seeing them come to fruition. So each time I get to see this kind of project, I ask myself, where are other states? Where are the business community in other states? Are you people sleeping? At the end of the day, when people plan and execute and it works, one thing comes to mind. We start shouting and saying, because the present president is from there, nobody stopped your governor or your business people to do the same thing. I won't use the word shameful, no, but that should be a challenge to every executive governor. We happen to be transmitting live from Lagos, and we are seeing this work. If it can work here, it can also work elsewhere. How transparent these projects are, we might not tell you right now, but we know that whatever monies were borrowed to get this project started have to be repaid. So if it's being repaid by state or federal government, we'll get to find out and we'll give you the feedback. But for every other person out there, just like the story we had before this particular one, is our responsibility to make our regions viable business-wise. When we start dealing business-wise in our region, then people will come. If we wait for government to come build one palace for people to come and do business, it doesn't work that way. We show people that this is doable, then things will start trickling in.
Yes, thank you very much. For Olumide, I am beginning to wonder, because we should look for a day where we'll invite the head, the person, whoever is head in Lamata, and so that we can talk about the bus rapid transit system and how much it is bringing into the state coffers in Lagos State. And now the trail, the red line is there, the blue line is there, and it seems to be expanding. And in my mind, I'm beginning to think about figures and how much the government will be making from this, and how this money that will be realized by the government will be suitable for other projects that will be used for in Lagos State. What's your perspective? What's your take on this?
Well, the blue line, the blue rail line is a very fantastic initiative. I mean, electrified system, lower emissions, clean energy, you know, the tracks, it's not sharing tracks with other rail systems and all that. But then again, you know, I mentioned to you at the beginning of this program that it's just running from mile 2 to Badagry.
Mile 2.
Marina, rather.
Marina to mile 2.
Marina to mile 2. So now imagine if it's running from probably Marina to as far as Ikorodu or Beja and all that. It would, I don't know what they are making right now, but it will triple if there are other routes. Though it's still in, I think it's in phase 1, so there's phase 2 and all that, phase 3. So yes, we hope that they would also think about all these routes, because some of these train stops are not close to neighborhoods, and maybe Marina is close to the Lagos the island market, but other markets, as it will help other business and people and all that. So I'm looking at that. How accessible is it?
Okay.
So that we can actually begin to see that efficiency of this train. And I also mentioned a situation whereby Nigerians, because Lagos traffic is really hectic, you can stay 4-5 hours in the traffic. I'm looking at a situation whereby people use less cars and use the train. Train is actually supposed to be the safest, or one of the safest means of transportation. That is the culture we need to imbibe. Now, I also mentioned way back that imagine having, though Chuk said there's a rail running from Niger, Mina, to Lagos. I also talked about that, expanding the rail line so that it can actually boost business activities. People can actually send goods from as far as Kano, Niger, and the rest of them down to Lagos, or even outside Lagos. I know former President Muhammadu Buhari was talking about a linking rail line between Nigeria and I think Niger Republic. What happened to that?
Okay, so one of the things, Chuks, that I want to look at is this, the tendency. Because if you talk about mile 12 is from Marina to mile 2 rather, it's okay, but have we considered mile 2 to Idiaraba, mile 2 to Okwafo?
There's a red line.
Mile 2 to Badagry.
There's a red line that is taking those places you're talking about right now. That was commissioned sometime this year. They are still building though.
Because I don't think it has started functioning or operational.
Functioning.
Operationally, operation-wise.
What is it called? The coaches are coming in.
Okay.
Then if you're moving from Lagos now to Badagry, you still see the stations are still being built.
Yes.
But that is the blue line.
Okay.
It's getting to mile 2 right now, but the construction is still ongoing towards Badagry. Then there is a red line. If you get to the markets behind Surulere. Okay. I'm trying to get the name of that place. You start seeing that particular station that is going all the way through the old airport.
Okay.
Down as if you're going towards that, joining the rail to Ibadan.
Yes.
You also see it crossing our own side here, towards the National Theatre.
Yes.
Yes.
So
yes.
that is also built already. So the next one we are looking at is the one that is going to come from the mainland and heading towards Ekpe. And we want to see that done as quickly as possible. If this is doable, other states should emulate. That's just what we want to see. Just like you said, Olumide, we want to see less cars on our roads. Why should I be spending this much and man-hour on the road just to get to work? What if I can just come out of the house, get to the station, and drop me here and walk into the office? Less spent on transport. I come here looking fresh and here to banter and disagree with you happily.
Imagine you living in Lagos and working in Ibadan. I take a 45-minute train to Ibadan in the morning and back.
And back home.
We have
less people looking for accommodation in Lagos.
In Lagos.
So you mean that the 2060 year that the former administration, President Muhammadu Buhari
2060.
Okay, 2060.
2060.
2060.
Now, this is an issue. People should stop setting agenda and
the agenda is set was that we are going to be zero emission nation of green gases for climate change and all of that, 2060.
Okay.
And if you said that, so the government doesn't need to ruffle shoulders before we can achieve that, just by putting infrastructure by way of train to facilitate easy movement of goods and services and transportation of persons and commuters across not only Lagos State, other states alone could make people to keep their cars or drive their cars less on the road. And that would take away those emissions that we're battling to get rid of.
That would take away a lot of emissions, majorly those coming from exhaust of cars and all that.
Yes.
And that will also take away a lot of stress and high blood pressure that people are facing thanks to Lagos State traffic.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can survive Lagos State traffic, then you can survive anywhere possible. You can save some bit of hell. For those that are traveling outside Lagos, years back, there used to be, just like Olumide reminded us, there used to be a train service from Lagos down to the north. We need that to come back.
Because the tracks are still there.
The tracks are still there. So however, we need that to come back.
Yes.
Now, we are having issues of seeing containers leave our port, especially Apapa. And thanks to that particular, they must leave. People need the products. People need machineries. Now, why can't we have those rails back? Because they are still there. It decongests the road from all those trucks and trailers. Sorry, people will be saying truck businesses will go out of fashion. No, it won't. There will be the end distributor from wherever we're going to have a dry port to the end, to whoever is going to take the thing. But they shouldn't be the major ones transporting this across state lines.
Okay.
That is not good. It's not healthy both for them. And it's not that safe for the communities they are passing, because we get to see a lot of accidents happen that should not happen.
True.
Yes.
The same thing with the ones carrying fuel.
Fuel, yes.
That we shouldn't see on our roads. So if this administration, if they can achieve getting rails across from the south to the east, from the north to the west, then that would be a very good one.
Great. That would be a very good one. Now, without much ado, let's move on to the next story. The United States and Chinese officials are meeting in London today for a new round of high-level trade talks. The discussion aimed to ease rising tensions that have gone beyond tariffs to export restrictions on vital goods like rare earth minerals. The United States delegation is led by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Trade Representative Jameson Greer, while China's Vice Premier He Lifeng heads the Chinese side. This follows a phone call between President Donald Trump and President Xi Jinping last week, where both leaders agreed to move forward on earlier commitments made in Geneva. Markets have responded positively in anticipation, with talks seen as key to stabilizing global supply chains and easing economic uncertainty. While the UK is hosting the meeting, it is not directly involved in the negotiations. Chooks, I have been waiting for this, in the sense that how are they going to resolve this? Is it that the U.S. is going to continue dishing out tariffs and China is going to respond and they keep dishing out tariffs and the other country will respond? Or is it going to end up, I was wondering where it's going to end. But first of all, whilst I was trying to figure out who initiated the meeting, and I've not been able to get my hands on that, I didn't know we would be getting to this level of conversation. This is a positive. From other countries too, that have become, part of those bearing the burden when two elephants fight.
Are they actually fighting?
Oh,
that should really be. They are not fighting. They are both protecting their interest, and everyone else are bearing the brunt. I always like looking at the funny side of things. The host for this particular negotiation happens to be the UK.
Yes.
Once upon a time, UK used to be the superpower. Once upon a time. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. Now,
I know what you are insinuating.
I'm not insinuating anything. Okay. So keep your head on this table. Keep your head on this table. This goes to tell Africa, because I always look at it from an African perspective. It's all about leverage. Once upon a time, the US could do whatever they will do and China will cower. Those days are gone. Completely gone. So it doesn't matter who happens to be the president of the US, you can't just push them or shove them aside. They also count. And they don't just count, they can give it to you back the way you are giving it to them. Another major issue they are looking at is rare earth minerals.
Yes.
Fortunately and unfortunately, China happens to be the major player in that particular sector. So hey, you need them. You 100% need them. Yeah, Russia have told the US, hey, come, we'll give it to you. But hey, China is still the major big player in that particular
When you say
sector.
big player, that they have it?
They have it. They control the movement. They control what comes out at the end of the day. They have a large chunk of control over that. Then now, this trade, all this trade war is all about I'm producing, you're producing, where do I ship? If I'm shipping to you and you're shipping to me, what tax should I put on it? Let my own industry grow. At the end of the day, these are two countries trying their best to get the best for their people. So Africa, where are we? This is the question we should be asking ourselves. In this whole equation of trade tariff, what are we benefiting? Where do we stand? What leverage can we push, get, or use?
Okay, so Olumide, Souq has been talking about a lot of things, and we're talking about rare earth minerals. I thought when you said China owns the market, I was looking at Africa. We see that China is by way of Chinese operation in Africa, so they have access to the movers and shakers or those who are in the corridors of power in Africa, and they've used that leverage to come in whilst they are building infrastructure, rail lines and ports authorities in those places in Africa. Then they have access by way of trade-off to go to these African countries to get some gold, get some lithium, get some uranium.
Those minerals are not the real
They're not the real earth minerals. So I was thinking in that light too. What's your perspective in this?
Well, the ongoing U.S.-China and trade, U.S. and China trade talks could have indirect but significant impact on Africa and Nigeria. If you look at agriculture, if you look at tech, even oil mineral exports, just like you said, China holds the card when it comes to lithium and the rest of them. But what I would also like us to look at is food security. Now, if this talk goes well, it could also lower food inflation. Knowing fully well that Nigeria, we consume more than what we export. So this talk actually significantly affects us. If it goes well, yes, maybe food inflation might come down. If it doesn't, well, we would look for other things. But it's a wake-up call for us, Nigeria. It's a wake-up call for us.
Okay.
We should see this, even whether it goes south or not, we should even see it as a benefit, a business opportunity here that, okay, if these two guys cannot talk things out, hey, let them come to us. But are we ready? Do we even have the facility?
Have we fixed our houses?
Have we fixed our houses?
Strong enough for them to come to you?
To come to us.
Okay. So, Souq, there's this part I want us to look at. Because of the purpose of this conversation, both countries are seek to roll back or to suspend the trade rivalry they've been having for 90 days. It's a long time. That's 3 months.
3 months.
Yes.
So now
definitely is a long time.
Yes. So now, apart from that, they are saying that, okay, yes, Chinese control rare earth minerals, and these minerals are the one that is used for.
So President also deemed it fit and were very.
Lateef Jakande. Born Lateef Kayode Jakande in the Ekpetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State, on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enowa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakande began a career in journalism in 1949 with a daily service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakande editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakande established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakande ran for election as Executive Governor of Lagos State in 1979 on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. His administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakande established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakande was charged, prosecuted, and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakande was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakande, Souq Enlightenment.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing, and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. Ready to make an impact? For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 439 2362. Visit us today at www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us. We apologize for that break in transmission. However, we've come to the end of the program. However, I'm going to like to get our last thoughts on the U.S.-Chinese talks. You have less than 20 seconds.
Less than 20 seconds. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that for each of these talks, the stock market is going to swing one way or the other. Great. And those that know. So yes. It doesn't matter how good or bad, people are making money. And let it be less volatile as it used to be, less in your faces, because it's not going to stop. It's going to continue. But behind the scenes, there's a reason why the U.S. is trying to control the semiconductor market and getting too close to Taiwan. It's just to get some leverage over China. But hey, is it going to happen? We don't know. But for Africa, please, let's also start positioning ourselves to have some leverage and not just depending on every other person.
Great. Olumide, your last thoughts.
Well, I'll say when two elephants fight, the grass suffers. Let's move from being the grass to
part of the
to major players.
Part of the elephant.
All right, that's where we draw the curtain. Now, do remember that when the China-U.S. tariff war was quite, intense, stocks were dropping here and there, both from U.S. and from China. And let's assume that this conversation is going to go the right direction. What are you going to expect? I'll leave that to your thought. I'm Oyinpriye Krumale. Many thanks for watching. You can catch me on Oyinpriye8 on Instagram and Oyinpriye5 on Twitter. Jokes?
Yes, thank you very much for being part of this program today. We look forward to seeing you again. You can follow me on CGUVNOR, that's C Governor, on all social media platforms. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure staying with us on Souq Business Landscape. Follow us on all our social media, and you can also follow me on Instagram at Media Juggernaut. I am Olumide Shokoya.
Thanks for watching.
From Lagos State, from Isaleko. My father hailed from the Olumegbo family. I attended my primary, secondary education in Ibadan at the time because my mother was there. But my religious practicing was always done during the holidays at Holy Cross Cathedral. I was working in the sacristy. We used to prepare for the Mass on Saturdays, and we sell the news magazine on Sundays in front of the church. And I remembered fondly that we used to tease a man called Sunday Boku Boku at that time, and he used to run to chase us and throw stones at, how dare you call me Sunday Boku Boku. Those were fun times. Harvest, Corpus Christi. And I was born, raised, baptized, confirmed, married in the Catholic Church. But I got married to Engineer Larry Phillips, who is an Anglican. And I believe that in togetherness of family, it's best we all do things together. So I moved over with him against the doctrine of Catholic Church to the Anglican Church at Marina, where his family belongs and worships. I attended St. Luke's Demonstration School. We used to climb the mango trees, and there was a mixed school. We used to play at during break time. And in my secondary school, it was a Catholic school. And it's for you to be prim and prudish in life and, set you on as a lady. And I got some finesse from there too. And, but the most interesting one and the most that I can call a radical one was my HSC in Olivet. We tried all sorts there. But it was fun and highly educative too. Sportsmanship was there. And from there, I proceeded abroad for my accountancy. And I was lucky to finish in a record time. And I came back. Did my articleship, but married in between. I met my husband abroad, and we came back home, got married in Nigeria. I worked as an accountant with USC, very proud of the drill professionally that I got from USC. It had set me on a discipline for working. And I thank God that I had that opportunity, which still helps me today. Apart from the fact that my educational background sets me to be a diversified person in so many professions. And as an accountant, accountancy is the best of all. It's the creme de la creme. And I've been able to fulfill my professional exposure in every species of responsibilities that I had opportunity to take upon me. And from USC, I proceeded to work for the bank. I went to politics. I became a commissioner in Lagos State, served with the present president of Nigeria. And you know how Lagos is. Lagos is like a country to other states. We went through governance. My team, as you can see, I have some of my colleagues in Abuja now. I have Honorable Minister Wali Edun. I have Honorable Minister Dele Alake. I have Honorable Minister Yemi Cardozo, and so forth. And I served in the bank as a director in Keystone. I've been a chairman of so many committees. You can say that again. In different aspects of life. Professional, political, social. And currently, I'm now the chairman of Souq Insurance PLC. When I was growing up, it was so free and enjoyable. We can take off at 11, 12, escort your friends to Bangboshe here. We go and have the Mosa. We go to the stadium. I remember me in my teenage age, I used to go to Nikon Stadium here. We watch so many matches, and I used to be with those fans, dancing and waving our fans. and bazaars, Easter Mondays, fella sports, you name it. It was fun. But Lagos was good for all of us. It was cleaner. It was amazing. Security isn't much to fear, You can just live the way you want. And money and values of life are completely different to what they are today. I was with my grandparents and we had so many tenants and we didn't realize they were tenants. We were all playing together, eating together, and we are still like one family today. But the story is not the same again. I wish one can turn around and change it, but we have all given our kids sheltered life for the fear of unknown. And I think the disadvantage is very grievous. I think first and foremost, God gave me the chance, the opportunities to pass through that in the journey of life. It's not only money that can make you successful in life. I want you to get that. It's an added support for you if in life you have the opportunities of parents who can financially support you. But at the same time, there are kids who didn't have any financial support and have been successful. So to me, success is about self-determination. I grew up around uncles and aunties who are thoroughly educated, and I've always had it behind my ambition that I must be in that cadre. And thank God the opportunity was there for me and I seized it. And I remember myself telling my kids, when I was abroad, I never lived like my father was a rich man. No. I was behind the desk reading and reading till I got successful. And I passed in record time. First and foremost, I think I'm a people's person. Secondly, my educational background. Thirdly, my pedigree. And you can't be a Lagos person and don't have a bit of intelligence about how you can maneuver yourself, even in the midst of challenges. And I can tell you that boardroom politics, especially when you're a woman, is tough. But when you manage those that you sit around with, eventually, when they see that you're there to work, it has no business and basis for any other thing. I've had issues on boards because I'm female, and I put my foot down. It is the work we are doing. There is no gender sensitivity in this issue. Even in my early days as an accountant, when I head the accounting department, it was even tough at that level because the young accounting class, some of them can be daring to say, how can you talk to me like that? How can you make it? And I'll say, please, what do you mean? We need to get this target work done. So it's the work that is talking. That's nothing to do with whether I'm a man or a woman. So I will like the idea of gender reasonableness to be better played. At least for now, we are not having it at 3 1/3, no. But I guess we are in the region of 20%. And it should be better. You give a woman a chance, she will devote her life to it. But, I mean, when we have one or two issues from women who have been there, that should not create hurdle or boundary that you say a woman shouldn't cross. No. Nobody is perfect in life. And I want to let you know, it's tough for a woman. These men, when it is a woman having a corrective measure to be taken, they do not handle it the way they do for the men. They're in a rush to pack the woman out. You see from what has happened all over the world. So I will still make an appeal that women should be given better chances, better allowances. It's so quick to make a woman a scapegoat, the sacrificial lamb. Let's take it easy. And please, women, when they put you there, make us proud. I should remember the other women coming after me. If I make this trouble now, they turn around and say, this is why we don't give them the chance to get to the top. So you manage the situation, you know? And let us remember that Africa is still very chauvinistic. It's still a man's world here. We are only trying. So just give us, for now, our required 33.1% as per Beijing recommendation. Having been in politics, there are so many factors that bring you up there. Some sensible, which I would call sensibilities, some sensitive based, which I would call sensitivity, and some as per geographical distribution. If it's not the turn of your section, your district, there's no way they can put you there. But then sometimes it's the turn of your district, the party supremacy decrees that they don't want to use you. What do? You have to show some resilience as a stable character and do whatever you are given very well. Excel. Somehow, one day, you'll be there. Like Martin Luther King. At the end of that tunnel, I can see the light. Someday, somehow, you get there. I was in tourism shortly, and it's not enough time to propagate the excellence of your work. But in special duties, I give the ministry class. I was able to represent my Lagos State very well. NYC was under me. Proudly, I served. And we ensure that all students that need to go to orientation camp are well registered and got their NYC certificates. It's not about where they put you. It's about what you are able to do in that place. And you do it even to the enviable eye of somebody who believes has the best ministry with a lot of funding and allocation. I'm different in that respect. A hard-working man, a man with a lot of sagacity, a man that is very kind, he has human kindness in his heart, a man that is highly focused. My office was very close to the Roundhouse, and I tell you, I wasn't surprised. And I kept telling everybody, I wasn't surprised he got a clinch that position, because I knew that even when in 99, from the day we stepped in, he's been working towards his election in 2003. So a man like that who is focused, his business is the end of the tunnel. All the distractions you are given, it's not, he doesn't consider it. So don't waste your emotions. You know, when you provoke yourself unnecessarily, and the person you are provoking yourself upon is not even responding on that line, you know you're wasting your time. But he's an astute politician. He knows what to do at every point. And don't try him, because he's a hard knock. And he's easy to forgive. That bit, I don't know how he does it, but it's easy to forgive and move on. He understands politics, maybe from a young age, I don't know, but he seems to have the knack of it at all times. I think that's in the pipeline. I don't have to come here to say that. And even in the insurance company in industry that I am now, I'm propagating that, look, you need to take it easy. Is it at these hard times you want to recapitalize the industry and make life harder? Yes, recapitalize, but not with large gap. You know, the variance should not be too much, because you need to recapitalize so that companies will be solidly based to address financial issues and risk issues that we have in the country today. I studied religion for my A-levels in school. I did divinity. It's not just reading Bible. The interpretation, the history, the analogy, all of that I did. And it has helped to shape me for life. It has molded my conscience to a large extent. What I see in religion today, if I go back to the way I have studied religion, I will say I'm worried. The way we have churches established in this country now, I'm talking of my experience in Lagos State. On the street, you can find 6, 8 churches, but there is no school. Education is key. Religion molds the character, the moral values about life. I'm not saying they're all totally condemned, but I think there should be more conferences and seminars to appeal to their conscience. It's one God. And in Lagos, the families, both Christian and Muslims, and the third religion, which is the native religion, we all interact and live together. And usually you find out that all of them talking about this God. I am a Christian. I talk about my God. And I don't denounce anyone in any other religion that faithfully talk about their God. And I don't allow that to affect a lot of decisions that I have to make, and didn't affect a lot of decisions that I had made. The expectation is too high. We are still a developing country. The awareness of covering up your risk is not too much there. In terms of life insurance, in terms of property, people are not still there. People don't cover themselves well enough. They take unnecessary risk. I'm glad Lagos State Governor is saying everybody must have a health insurance now. That, again, will expand the scope of the insurance business. In insurance, there are so many seminars, there are so many conferences that are being put up there now, where the ability to educate the masses, and even the high-ups one, to please insure yourself. And when I say yourself, your life, your property, your children, and see how far it goes. It is important. And you know, in this era of insecurity, it is highly important. Just make sure you insure yourself. And with what the governor had proposed now, definitely Governor Sanwo-Olu did well. Health insurance is key. Health is wealth. First and foremost, inflation all over the world has gone haywire. So it's not peculiar to Nigeria alone. Those who live in the Western world, they're crying hula baloo about the price of petrol, the price of even eggs. So it's not just Nigeria. Let us wake up and see that we're in a global world and everything is intertwined. The issue of the central bank now trying to manage inflation, these are not easy times all over the world. They're not easy times. And when I say we are a developing country, we are still trying very hard. I don't want to say it's sad. It depends on the environment. You know, you can't just bring UAE here into Nigeria. The environment here from inception has not delved too much on tourism. Your tourism is just go on holiday and go back. The beaches are there. And even from day to day, they are trying to redevelop along the beach so that tourist activities can happen. And I'm sure they're still on it. You need tourist attraction where you have every aspect of life when tourists come over. But with the problem of infrastructure that we have in the country, you can't do much tourism for now. It wasn't easy, but as I said, once you try to be a bit methodological about it, then, you know, you get by. Because from the days I came back from England, starting a family, working in large corporations, it just ensure that the home front solidly settled. And it wasn't that easy, because you know that I'm talking of almost 40 years back. To be able to excel amidst men, you probably have to do 2 times, 3 times more than them. I'm lucky I have a husband who accepts me being what I am. Because if you have a partner that does not appreciate your ambition and your dream, he will not support you. But I have the support of my husband, and we are able to keep the home together. Make sure that his food is given. Make sure the kids are well looked after. Make sure the husband is well looked after at all times, and don't grudge. I try to give myself to people in terms of needs. I try to recognize people's needs, and at the moment of that need, I try to help. And it's a legacy I try to sound to my kids at all times. Recognize needs at that point and do it. Because at the point that you recognize it, if you don't offer the assistance, it may not be meaningful again. But if at the time that a need arises and you can do it, promptly do it. And I cannot manage people who are not sincere. I cannot. And that is the only thing that bothers me about life. And once I find out that they are not one way, I make my U-turn and I don't go back again. And that's one thing I have learned, I have seen, and I'm trying to learn from Mr. President Bola Tinubu. The way he can switch from being so hot and then swim as if nothing happened and carry on. That is tough for me. And I hope I'll be able to, within the space remaining, I'll be able to copy that. At the same time, I like hardworking. I recognize people who are hardworking, who are intelligent, and I recognize people who are hardworking and need to be helped in terms of training to be a better person. And I like fun. Now, let me start with that girl child. That girl child is not so common again. At least most female children are educated now. Outside Lagos, girl child is a big reference. Yeah, I think everybody should be given equal chance to make a life, and a life worth living and contented with. Because if you don't have enough drive and motivation, then life becomes static and you just wear it out and go. But I believe that for women, don't let the men scare you off. You are equally hardworking and intelligent. Expose yourself, but don't mess yourself around. Don't get corrupt. Do unto others as you want others to do unto you. And there's one good prayer. Everybody that knows me, and I always say, my God is a just God. His judgment is always fair. So whoever hurts you, attacks you, leave them to God. He's a fair God. The judgment of God will come. Just move on and pray that in your lifetime, that judgment comes up. My favorite food, I like eba and ewedu. I'm an expert in cooking. I love cooking, and I tell you, I can challenge anybody to come and compete with me. On that level, I score a good card. But I love fresh fish, with ewedu and eba. I'm not too much of an amala fan, and my favorite color is green. Or it's green, but with that green, I love bright colors. Even jewelry, it has to be bright for me, but still worn in a conservative way. As loud as whatever I pick may be, I still give it a conservative umbrella. I love to dance. I'm a good dancer. I love to socialize. I'm a good mixer, but highly disciplined.
I was born on the 16th day of October, 63 years ago. I'm from Opobo, yeah, and went to school. I'm from River State, from Opobo in River State. Went to school in Port Harcourt, lived in Port Harcourt all my life, from primary to secondary school to A-levels. Then after A-levels, I got admission to Unilag. Immediately after Unilag, I got married, and I've lived in Lagos ever since. Well, it was fun for us because me and my husband were very young. My husband was 25, I was 21 and all that. But we learned on the job. We were friends. We were friends for 3 years when I was in Unilag, university, and we came out, we got married. So we're like children that just got married. But I had my parents. My parents were his very good friends. So when I get naughty, he would report me to my parents. When I didn't know these kind of duties were demands of somebody's wife, they would tell me this is my responsibility. I'm like, no. I will agree to some, I will not agree to some. But I mean, it was fun. We had our ups and downs, but kind of pushed through it. And then the children started coming, and it was a different ballgame. You know, when you come from that kind of family, it's like part of your system. You don't really regard it as anything anymore. But sometimes I get the shock of my life because there was a time my in-laws came to Opobo for one ceremony, and I saw the king. And he gave me a hug and he gave me a pic, and they were like, whoa, the upper Benin won't even shake your hand, you know, as a woman. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's the same family, you understand? So we're used to that. I think we take it for granted. But maybe some other people say, you must call me a princess, you must call me that. I'm not into all those kind of things. I'm not at all, I've never been. So I can't start tomorrow. But yeah, great King Jaja of Opobo, my great-great-grandfather. And my children, when they studied it in school, they went to Corona school. When they studied, came, Mom, we're telling our teacher and our classmates that this King Jaja of Opobo, they told them about King Jaja of Opobo in school. And they said, that's my mommy's great-grandfather. Like, whoa, no, it was like a big deal to them, for us. Absolutely, upbringing and my personal choice too, because you could be brought up one way and choose to go another way. You understand? One of my philosophies in life is like this: you're not the tallest in the world, you're not the shortest, you're not the prettiest, you're not the ugliest, you're not the richest, you're not the poorest. Oh, just get with it. Do you understand? If you're looking for beauty, there are more beautiful women than you say. If you're looking for ugly, there are uglier women. If you're looking for tall, you're looking for it. So what is it? Do you understand? You didn't come into this world with anything. You're not going to go with anything. So just be grateful to God for whatever you have or whatever you are. Work towards improving on it, improving your relationship with God Almighty and improving your relationship with your fellow human beings. That's my philosophy in life. So what's the point of carrying all the air and chips on your shoulder? It makes life heavier for you. Seven is my favorite number. It's a number for perfection. And I was born on the 16th of October. My star sign is Libra, we're always looking for perfect balance in everything. It's just an influence from the horoscopes, I'm told. But J is my husband's name, D is my name, and 7 is my favorite number. Lazy way of forming the name of a company, isn't it? So I did, and it stuck. And I knew I was going to go into couture, so that was it. Easy. I was a victim of circumstance. I keep saying it. I didn't really come into business to be a fashion designer, to go into fashion, and creativity has always been something that's innate. Okay, even before I started making clothes or doing this, I used to always give designers the styles that I want them to make for me. I didn't have tailors, but when I finished my NYSC at Nigerian Television Authority in Victoria Island, I decided I wasn't going to work there. I wanted to work in a more organized setup. You understand? Because of management traineeship, because I never worked all my life. You know, my parents were very protective. I'm the last girl in the family. They were always very protective. So I said I wanted to work somewhere, and I prayed about it. And I got into Unilever. Then it was called Lever Brothers. And for 5 years, but you know, the intensity of work there became a bit much for me because I was a young mother. I had 2 kids then. Was going on having the 3rd one. So it became a bit time. Sometimes Unilever was one of the biggest. When the international directors come in, we used to be the ones to host them with all the Unilever affiliates. Linters, the advertising agency used to be here. All the Nigerian breweries, USC, you understand, AJC words, we're all Unilever group. Sometimes I won't get home until 3 a.m. when we are hosting. And with kids in the house, it can be a bit much. So I'm like, I prayed about it and I decided something has to give. It's either your family, your children will not give them the attention they need then, and they were growing fast, or your job will suffer, and then you will not be happy whichever way. So I decided, you know what, let my priority be my family. And I decided to go back. And I put in my resignation. That was not what I'm fine. When I did, my chairman refused to accept the resignation. So I had to use another way to encourage him to accept it. So I left Unilever. I said, okay, I wasn't the type of person that was suited for being a housewife. I wanted to do the kind of business I would do, but still have 100% time for the kids. So when the kids say, oh, they're having something in school, I'm there, okay? I decided I was going to just market corporate gifts. When I was in Unilever, I was the assistant corporate affairs manager in charge of press. So, and being in Unilever at the corporate affairs level, I already knew a lot of companies. So I used that opportunity to get back to those companies and introduce my new business. And in the first year, I actually made more money than my 5-year stint in Unilever. So that was the number encouragement. You make more money doing your own business. You have more time for your kids, for your family, and for yourself. And you travel quite a bit because you have to go and buy the corporate gifts. So it was a win-win. Then, a few years down the line, the president, Olusegun Obasanjo, came in and said they were doing backward integration and they were going to stop the importation of all this corporate gift and a lot of other things. So we were actually forced to look inwards. And when we started looking inwards, that's when it hit me that apart from Big, that was being produced by Eleganza, we're not really manufacturing anything in Nigeria apart from textiles and maybe I think Eleganza was doing food flask or something. Which corporate body do you want to give as end of year gift? So what we had to do now, because a lot of my clientele were like Shell, Chevron, I started looking inwards. I said, okay, if I have to do something, I can do beddings, pillowcase trimmings, table covers, table placemat, napkins with fabrics like Ashok and Adira. I can do jute bags, you know. It came to me. So I had to go and buy one machine and employed one tailor. So sometimes they will call me. I did some samples. So when, even in Abuja, when they were going to have, like I remember the West African Women's Affairs, they had a conference. So they wanted jute bags, and we had about 1,000 or 2,000 jute bags, and that was quite nice. Plus, apart from the end of year activities. So that's it. But you know, after those periods, you have periods of lull, like you're not using the machine and the tailor. You have to be paying tailor for doing it. I'm like, why am I going to these people to make my clothes? Tailor, oh yeah, this is the style I want. I started first by giving some of my clothes, repeat it. You did well. So I started designing. I could sketch very well. I was a science student in school, but I could sketch really well. So I was sketching, would do well. And sometimes when I wear the clothes and I go to supermarket, some women will just call me, hey, I really like this thing you're wearing. Please, where did you make it? I'm like, okay, I'll give you the address. I give them the address. They started coming. Before I could say that, within 1 month, I had over 50 women I had to make clothes for. And the one tailor was no longer enough. I had to employ 2 others. That was how we started. From 2 to 4, then I had a whole factory before you could say that. I started making school uniforms, started doing all kinds of things. And then some of the magazines, like Genevieve magazine, looked around like, are you sure you make this outfit? I thought you were a broadcaster. I thought you sell. I said, yes, I did. So I did some photo shoot session for her, and I modeled the clothes actually. And whoa, I started getting calls from Paris, from the UK. I did DC Fashion Week. You know, I was just, and they will pay your ticket, pay your hotel. Please come and showcase for us. Some will even say, please come and open the show for us. Some say, we want you to close this. I'm like, okay. There are places that I would never have thought of going to, like Burkina Faso. They will back me the top fashion designers that would, when the Alfadi does this thing once every 4 years. Alfadi in Niger. The Niger government sponsors it. He calls all, including Elisab, every international designer, they will go, especially the Moroccan ones, those North African ones, Indians. So they invite one designer from each country. So they used to call me to come because of what I used to work a lot with Ankara and Ashok, and I do international acclaimed, how would I put it, couture outfits with Ankara, big hats, funny looking, structured clothes and all that. So that was how it went, you know. And I did all the magazines. I've won all the awards. So after a while, you know, I started thinking of concentrating on exports. In the process of doing that, my husband took ill. After 2 years, we lost him. So when I came back home, I gave a lot of things a lot of thought. My kids were still in school. My daughter got married. She was in Australia already. And then my kids, my 2 boys were still in school. So I said, look, this fashion design group is not going to pay school fees in pounds sterling and dollars. So I said to myself, you know what? Why don't you give the man hours to the industry, the family business that were yielding the most income? That was how I started kind of just saying, you know what, let me just minimize it a bit. My core clients were still coming. So I kept the tailors, my experienced tailors that worked with for years, I kept them. I kept few of them. And I kind of cut down on that business. I said, you know what, let me just go and face the family business and do this for the people who really know what I'm doing. And word of mouth goes. So I'm still doing that, but my priority is really not that, you know. When you look at me the first time you see me, you see a fragile woman that don't like to sweat, that's spoiled, that like to be kept. I'm like, what? Absolutely not. My husband didn't want me to do anything. He just felt he wanted to spoil me. I said, that's not how to love me at all. Please. It's either you kind of understand the person I am. I'm a very creative mind. This mind has to keep working, or I'll make life miserable for you, What I will advise, even women who are willing to work, you don't even do one job. You must get at least more than 2 streams of income. Otherwise, you will not make ends meet. That is the truth of today's world. You understand? There are those ones that want to be kept, no matter how wealthy your husband is. Wealth is not static. Some people start today. When they retire, everything goes downhill. Some people mean well. They love you. They want to take care of you. But nature calls. They part ways. Some marry other women. Some leave. Some die. You understand? So anything can happen. I will advise them, everybody, try and be as independent as you can. Financially independent. I think you actually have earned more respect when you do that. And then also, when things don't work out too well for the husband, no matter how rich you are, you don't have to put him through too much stress. You can take care of yourself, you can take care of yourself, you take care of him, you encourage him, but let him not feel that the world has come to an end. A man feels happy when he knows that his back is covered, even when he's not making it. You understand? It doesn't make him lazy. It makes him very grateful. Yeah. So I will advise everybody, get something doing. Do something that will enable you to earn good income if you can. Do something that you also enjoy doing. I've always believed in garbage in, garbage out. Yeah? Garbage in is the stress abound. You cannot control that. But you can control your attitude towards stress. Stress is the #1 killer and ages of everything in this world. It's your attitude to stress that you have to manage, and that depends on you. What you put in your mouth also depends on you. Your mind, your heart, your spirit, your soul. You have to be loving. You have to be forgiving. You understand? All that depends on you. So it's actually you that decides whether you're going to age gracefully or you're not. Forget about the genes first. It's true. You understand? Some people are so malicious. When you offend them once, oh my goodness. They will carry it in their chest, and the chest will be expanding, and they won't sleep well, and they begin to have problems. Meanwhile, the person you're angry with does not even know you exist. It's crazy. So for me, it's just be free and take life easy. Take it as it comes, and always be grateful to God. I'm too honest and straightforward. It's either I will be killed immediately, or because I will tell you the truth, no matter whose house is God. I don't think I can play politics. I'm not a politician at all. I am a very straight shooter. I will tell you to your face when you're doing stupid things. That was my relationship with my mom, my dad, my husband. So most times, I'm the last girl in the house. So maybe when they were disciplining the first ones, by the time they got to my turn, they were a bit tired. So we could talk to my parents anyhow. But I don't do it to create whatever. I just feel that if anybody worth talking to, is worth talking to with honesty and integrity. And when you want to play politics, they will see something that is black. They will say it's yellow. I can't do that. For the love of me, I can't. So politics is not my call. And because of that, they will not allow your creativity to come out, your sincerity. What's the point? Yes. I'm actually planning some kind of, I met some of my old models that are doing very well. And when you deal with a lot of these girls, some of them have traveled with me to Niger. Sometimes they'll tell you, bring 2 of your models. Some of them, we have very good relationship. We're going to do a reunion one of these days. It will be fun. And they are all calling, when are we going to do this? I say, don't worry, we'll get a reunion done because we need to revisit the fashion industry, see how things are going. They're doing well. The new ones are doing well. And I just pray that the environment will not discourage them, you know? It's not just Nigeria, it's the world. Whatever is happening in Nigeria is what the truth is. A crate of egg in Nigeria is still cheaper than a crate of egg in the US and in the UK, even with the exchange rate. So it's not just Nigeria, the world is experiencing some kind of. The way I see it is like the pangs of birth before the child finally comes. You know, that intense labor. And then when the child is born, everything is calm and beautiful, everybody's happy. I think we are just towards the end of the labor pain. It's going to get better, but we're going to pass through a lot of that before it gets better. And when it finally gets better, we'll all be smiling. But right now, the whole world, not just Nigeria, is crazy. If you look at international, listen to international news, it's actually crazier than here. I just pray. Yes, I live opposite, I won't even say it, on the street. One of the big men that live on that street, his birthday was yesterday, and the whole street was filled with beggars, hungry people. It was really crazy. I felt so bad. We were pushing each other, killing each other, fighting just to get a plate of jollof rice. It was very sad. It didn't used to be that bad. There were a few people who would come hang around, but the whole street, I couldn't move anywhere yesterday because of it. But I hope it gets better soon, so that the best in all of us can come. Because hunger and poverty can actually bring out the worst in people. Naturally, yes. I have an NGO that I do. What I do, I take girls, young girls that are not able to complete school because of poverty, and I educate them. You understand? I try to pay school fees, help people. I believe in education and that. Yeah, because I don't believe in giving you the fish. I believe in teaching you how to fish. I have few of them from my place come stay with me. Some of them are able to stand the discipline. Some of them are not able. So the ones that are able to say they stay, and they do very well. Some of them I train from a distance and they do well. So I've had university graduates, I have the levels, I have all kinds of things. That's what I do. And most people come to me naturally, not because I'm a trained mentor or anything. When you do anything out of love, an act of sincerity of purpose, and because they see you as genuine, they listen to you. You understand? When you mean well, you tell people the honest truth, and they, you know, it's not easy sometimes, but yes, a kind of mentor.
For more than a century, Zambia has stood as a prominent figure in the mining sector, particularly renowned for its copper production, which remains a cornerstone of the nation's economy. Accounting for 3/4 of the country's export earnings, mining plays a pivotal role in Zambia's economic landscape. The focal point of this mining activity is the Copperbelt province, home to major copper mines like Lumwana and Konkola, alongside Sentinel in the northwestern province. These mines, operated by renowned international firms such as Barrick and Vendetta Resources, hold majority foreign ownership, with Zambia Consolidated Copper Mine Investment Holdings retaining minority stakes. Smaller mines in the Copperbelt region, backed by investors from countries like China, Brazil, and South Africa, contribute to Zambia's diversified mining landscape. However, the country's mining sector faces various challenges, hindering the potential growth trajectory. Fiscal policies introduced by the government, including royalty increases, the taxation policies have negatively impacted mining profitability. Also, price volatility in global markets, infrastructural deficiencies like inadequate transportation networks, power shortages, and an uncertain regulatory environment further increases the sector's challenges. Moreover, labor disputes, safety concerns, and geopolitical risks stemming from political instability poses additional hurdles to Zambia's mining sector. To propel the nation towards its 3 million tons copper production goal, strategic measures are crucial, and these include leveraging digital technology through partnerships with AI and machine learning firms to enhance sector's efficiency and investment, stable policy framework in order to attract and retain investment, and provision of a conducive regulatory environment. Infrastructure strengthening supported by donor funding and concessional financing can also alleviate critical constraints such as transportation and power shortages. More so, environmental conservation is vital for sustainable development. Hence, mining companies must provide government-approved environmental management plans, prioritize durable equipment, and proper waste disposal techniques to minimize environmental degradation. Given copper's expected dominance in Zambia's exports, maintaining its position as Africa's economic hub demands a concerted effort. Israel Adeyemi, Souq News. Cashew nuts, ranked among Ivory Coast top cash crops, play a crucial role in the country's economy, generating substantial revenue and supporting livelihoods across the country. As the world's leading exporter of raw cashew nuts, Ivory Coast contributes an estimated $800 million annually to its economy and also serves as a vital source of income for over 410,000 families, particularly in rural areas where few other opportunities exist. Cashew trees flourish in Ivory Coast northern regions, including Bondukau and Savannah, known for its high-quality nuts and extensive plantations, just as Worondogu and Bagwe in the north central and northwest are also emerging as key producers. These regions not only drive Ivory Coast cashew production, but also support local livelihoods and economic growth. However, the country with over 29 million citizens is yet to fully realize the potential of its cashew industry. Despite being the top producer, the country processes only 7% of its cashew domestically, resulting in lost opportunities for value addition and job creation. Specifically, a recent data reveals that only 22% of the country's cashew nut output was processed domestically in 2023, even as the volatility of global cashew prices poses risks to farmers' income and overall economic stability. Concerns also arise regarding labor practices in some cashew farms and the environmental impact of deforestation for new plantations. To address these challenges and maximize the benefit of its cashew industry, Ivory Coast must focus on key strategies moving forward. These include investing in local processing facilities to boost job creation, export value, and farmers' incomes. Furthermore, the Ivorian government body overseeing the cashew sector, ARECA, must promote fair trade practices and ethical sourcing to ensure better prices for farmers and improve working conditions. Sustainable farming practices will also help to protect the environment and ensure long-term cashew production. According to a recommendation made at a workshop organized by the World Bank, tax exemptions and access to credit facilities will help to tackle some of these challenges. Furthermore, the private sector can also invest in research to develop high-yielding cashew varieties, improve processing techniques, explore new cashew products, as well as develop and implement digital platforms that connect farmers to market in order to facilitate financial transactions. Organizations like the Africa Cashew Initiative, ACI, must also assist in data compilation in the value chain at macro, meso, and micro level. By addressing this and harnessing its cashew potential, the country can further enhance its economy and build a more sustainable future for its citizens. Israel Adeyemi reporting for Souq News.
Augmented reality.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Hello and welcome to the World News on Souq News Television. I am Antonia Umor. Now the headlines. Dangote Group pays for 400 billion naira in taxes, announces 900 billion naira investment in roads. All companies move to convert licenses ahead of federal government's deadline. Federal government targets $100 billion in growth in creative economy. Africa unveils credit ratings agency to counter Western bias. Iran to submit new nuclear proposal after rejecting the United States deal. Now the news in details. The Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism and the Creative Economy, Hannatu Musa Musawa, has reaffirmed the federal government's plan to partner with all 36 states and the private sector to build a $100 billion creative economy. Speaking at the cultural dinner in Abeokuta, Musawa revealed that the Federal Executive Council approved memo will identify and harness each state's cultural strengths to drive economic growth. She expressed readiness to support initiatives like the proposed Fashion Olympics and the Ebeleganza Fashion event. In collaboration with Ogun State and Laye Labude Heritage Foundation, Musawa noted that President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope Culture program would document local cultures to unlock tourism and investment. Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun, represented by his deputy, said the state is boosting its creative economy through policies like promoting Adire fabric and investing in tourism. The Laye Labude Heritage Foundation announced plans to boost Africa's first Fashion Olympics in 2026, with 50 countries expected. The event aims to grow Africa and its share in global fashion industry from 1.2% to projected $500 billion. President of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, informed President Bola Tinubu that his company paid 400 billion naira in taxes to the federal government in 2024, making them Nigeria's highest tax-paying group, exceeding the total paid by all banks combined. Dangote emphasized that the group's plan to invest an additional 900 billion naira in road infrastructure across the country under the government's tax credit scheme. Dangote highlighted the Deep-Sea Port Access Road as one of the 8 major roads projects totaling 500 kilometers, including key links to Chad and Cameroon. He further announced that the main roads leading to Dangote Petroleum Refinery will be named Bola Ahmed Tinubu Road, praising the president's leadership for revitalizing investor confidence and fostering private sector growth in Nigeria. In another news, Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission has confirmed that several oil companies have formally applied to convert their petroleum prospecting licenses into petroleum mining leases to avoid expiry. The move affects about 40 licenses granted in June 2022, which are due to lapses by June 27, 2025 rather. Chief Executive Benga Komolafe stated that the licenses are different operational stages, including exploration and appraisal, and that many applicants have already fulfilled key work obligations under the Petroleum Industry Act. The Commission reassured stakeholders that the situation is under regulatory review and warned against panic, clarifying that the license expiration depends on performance and compliance. The federal government, meanwhile, has reiterated its stance on reclaiming idle oil fields under drill or drop policy. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Henikin Lopobiri stressed that only firms actively developing assets will be eligible for renewal as the government seeks to boost oil revenue and eliminate dormant licenses. The Association of Maritime Truck Owners have declared full support for the electronic call-up system introduced by the Nigerian Port Authority to manage the access to Apapa and Tin Can ports. Speaking after a peaceful rally in Apapa, Secretary General Mohammed Bale praised the ETO platform as a historic breakthrough that has ended decades of gridlock, eliminated extortion, and restored order to Nigeria's busiest logistics corridor. He said the system has improved cargo evacuation, boosted business efficiency, and revived community life in Apapa. Bala noted that truckers can now schedule port access digitally at the flat rate of 21,500 naira, and in the explorative manual era, when access tags cost up to 300,000 naira. He dismissed recent criticisms of the system and attempt by the former beneficiaries of the chaotic manual to derail the progress. The truckers called on the government to sustain enforcement and resist sabotage, stressing that the era of transparency and automation in maritime logistics has come to stay. Let's take a short break, and when we return, we will bring you more business stories from across Africa.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
At the Africa Development Study Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission, empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, and monitoring and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Welcome back to the World News on Souq News Television. We shift the spotlight to our continent as Africa is taking a major step towards financial independence with the launch of its own credit rating agency. The African Credit Rating Agency, backed by the African Union, is expected to begin operations by the end of September. The move follows years of criticism from African leaders who say global rating firms like Fitch, Moody's, and S&P often give unfair assessments that raising borrowed costs for African countries. The agency's first sovereign credits report is expected by late 2025 or early 2026. Officials say it will remain independent, with ownership led by African private sector investors through final names, although the final names are yet to be revealed. It will initially focus on rating local currency debt, and a strategy experts believe that we could deepen domestic capital markets and reduce reliance on foreign-denominated loans. Despite its African roots, the agency says it will uphold strict standards, promising accurate and not sympathetic ratings. Still within Africa, the Bank of Ghana says it will issue new digital lending guidelines by August this year to protect the public from rising cases of fraud, harassment, and hidden charges by some online loan platforms. Governor Dr. Johnson Asaima says many young people and informal workers are falling victims to digital lenders who promise quick cash but use unethical recovery tactics, including threats and public shaming. The new rules will set strict standards for both bank-led and non-bank lenders, and they will cover licensing, transparency in interest rates, data protection, and fair recovery methods. Dr. Asama warned all institutions engaged in digital lending to start reviewing their models ahead of the rollout. He said the goal is to protect vulnerable borrowers and build a responsible lending environment. He also hinted a separate directive to reduce bad loans in the banking system, which require lenders to write off unrecoverable debts and name strategic defaulters in public records. We now go to Egypt and Saudi Arabia as they are set to begin construction of the $4 billion Moses Bridge, a 32 kilometers overlink connecting Sham, Akit, and Ras Akit Hamid via the Tiran Island. The project, which has completed planning phase, aims to boost trade, tourism, and regional integration, cutting travel time between both countries to just 30 minutes by car. Expected benefits include a fourfold increase in Saudi tourist visits to Egypt and a rise in cargo movements across the Straits of Tiran. Officials say that the bridge aligns with Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 and Egypt's infrastructure goals, positioning the Red Sea and a hub for cross-continental commerce. However, environmental groups have raised concerns over the project's potential impact on marine biodiversity. Saudi Arabia has pledged sustainable construction, while both governments remain committed to completing the ambiguous project within 8 years, despite engineering challenges. We expand the global lens as Russia says it plans to deepen its cooperation with African countries, including sensitive areas like defense and security. This comes after the Wager mercenary group, which has supported the military junta in Mali against Islamist militants, announced its withdrawal. However, a Kremlin-backed paramilitary group called the Africa Corps said it will remain active in Mali. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov confirmed that Russia's presence in Africa is growing. He said Russia aims to develop stronger economic and investment partnership alongside expanded defense cooperation with African nations. The Africa Corps We take a short break, and when we return, we'll have more business stories on Souq News Television.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing, and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. Ready to make an impact? For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 439 2362. Visit us today at www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Welcome back. In the Middle East, Saudi Arabia has announced the successful completion of this year's Hajj pilgrimage, with over 106 million pilgrims taking part. Deputy Emir of the region, Makat region, Prince Saeed bin Mishal, declared the season incident-free in terms of security, health, and services. He said more than 1.5 million pilgrims came from outside the kingdom, while over 166,000 were residents and citizens of Saudi Arabia. The prince praised the smooth execution of the pilgrimage and credited the leadership of the Crown Prince Salam and of the King Salam and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salam for ensuring safety and peace of all pilgrims. Iran has said it will soon present its own counter-proposal to the United States through Oman after rejecting Washington's recent nuclear deal, rejecting the offer as unacceptable. Tehran insists that the U.S. proposal did not reflect previous negotiations and failed to meet Iran's key demands. Iranian officials say that any agreement must guarantee real economic benefits for Iran and the full lifting of sanctions before restrictions end. The two sides remain divided over uranium enrichment limit and sanctions relief. Iran also accused Israel of trying to interfere with talks, calling on the international community to demand Israel's nuclear disarmament. Tehran insists its nuclear program is peaceful, but Western countries worry it could lead to weapon development. The head of the United Nations nuclear watchdog says Iran has obtained highly confidential documents belonging to the agency, a move he calls bad and harmful to the cooperation. Rafael Grossi, chief of the International Atomic Energy Agency, says the documents were actively collected and analyzed by Iran. According to a recent confidential report, he warned this could undermine the agency's work in the country. Iran denies the allegations, calling them slanderous, and says no proof has been presented. Meanwhile, The Western powers plan to push for a resolution declaring Iran's in breach of its nuclear commitment during a key UN meeting this week. Grossi emphasized that such actions go against the spirit of cooperation needed to resolve concerns over Iran's nuclear programs. We take another short break, and when we return, we'll bring you top stories from around the world. Welcome back. We now go to China, where car sales continue to grow in May for the fourth month in a row. But a slow downturn in growth for major automakers is raising concerns about the impact of intense price competition in the world's largest auto market. According to data released on Monday by the China Passenger Car Association, car sales reached nearly 2 million units last month, up from 13.9% from a year earlier. The pace of growth, however, eased slightly from April's 14.8%. Sales of new energy vehicles, which include electric and hybrid cars, jumped to 28.2% compared to a year ago. This marks a strong performance though it was a step down from April's 39.9% increase. China's Passenger Car Association Secretary General urged automakers to lower their sales targets for 2025, suggesting a more sustainable approach is needed. Overall, while China's car markets remain strong, the slower growth and rising concerns about price wars suggest a more cautious road ahead. Still within Asia, Japan is planning to buy back some of its long-term government bonds that were issued at low interest rates, sourced familiar with plans said. This comes as yield on this bond, which matures in 20 to 40 years, have surged to record levels recently. The rising yield is linked to weaker demands from traditional buyers like life insurers and concerns about Japan's growing debt. To ease market pressure, the government also plans to reduce the issuance of these super long bonds in the coming months. Officials will meet with market participants later this month before making a final decision. Experts believe this could help move the control bond supply and stabilize borrowing costs, supporting Japan's economic outlook. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has urged the world leaders to ratify a treaty designed to protect vast areas of the ocean beyond national borders. Speaking at the UN Ocean Conference, Guterres warned that illegal fishing, plastic pollution, and the rising sea temperatures are severely damaging marine ecosystems and the livelihood of millions who depend on them. The treaty, adopted in 2023, will now allow countries to establish protected marine parks in international waters, which cover nearly two-thirds of the ocean, but remain mostly unregulated. So far, only about 1% of these waters are protected. While 50 countries have ratified the treaty, key nations like the United States have yet to do so. The agreement will come into force once 60 countries ratify it, and officials expect this milestone to be reached before the end of the year. And in sports, we look at the National League final hosted in Munich as Allianz Arena, Portugal triumphed over Spain as the game ended in a 2-2 draw at normal time after goals from Nuno Mendes and Cristiano Ronaldo, who recorded his 138th international goal. The game extended to a penalty shootout, with Portugal winning 5-4 after keeper Diego Costa saved Alvaro Morata's penalty. This win marks the second time Portugal has won the competition, the first team to accomplish this feat since the National League inception in 2028. The Portuguese captain Cristiano Ronaldo stated in post-game interview how winning for Portugal is always special. He also stated after he was spotted in tears during the celebrations, saying he has won many titles with clubs, but nothing is better than winning for Portugal. And that's a wrap on the World News today. For more updates, follow us across our social media platforms as Souq News Television. I am Antonia Umor. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.
Wole Soyinka, born Akiwande Oluwole Babatunde Soyinka on July 13, 1934, in Abeokuta, Ogun State, southwest Nigeria, stands as one of Africa's most celebrated literary figures and a global icon of resistance against oppression. His life and works reflect an unwavering commitment to justice, culture, and the transformative power of art. Soyinka was born into a Yoruba family in colonial Nigeria, an environment that exposed him to both traditional African culture and Western education. His father, Samuel Ayodele Soyinka, was a school headmaster, while his mother, Grace Eniola Soyinka, was a devoted Anglican. This blend of indigenous and colonial influences deeply shaped Soyinka's world. Soyinka attended Government College Ibadan and later proceeded to the University College Ibadan, where he studied English and literature. Soyinka completed his education at the University of Leeds in England, earning a degree in English and later a doctorate degree. In the late 1950s, Soyinka began working as a dramaturgist at the Royal Court Theatre in London. However, his passion for storytelling and cultural preservation drew him back to Nigeria, where he founded two theatre groups known as the 1960 Masks and the Orisun Theatre Company. Soyinka's works, often a fusion of Western dramatic techniques and African themes, address universal issues of justice, freedom, and human dignity. His early play, titled A Dance of the Forest, which was introduced in 1960, written to celebrate Nigeria's independence, critically examined the nation's socio-political trajectory, setting the tone for his career as both artist and activist. Soyinka's activism became more visible during Nigeria's post-independence years. In 1967, during the Nigerian Civil War, he called for a ceasefire between federal forces and Biafran separatists. This led to his arrest by the military government, and he spent 22 months in prison, where he wrote a short drama titled The Man Died, Prison Notes, a harrowing account of his imprisonment and a profound critique of authoritarianism. Soyinka has authored more than 20 works, including plays, novels, poetry, and essays. In 1986, Soyinka became the first African to win the Nobel Prize of Literature, an achievement that brought global recognition to African literature. Soyinka remained an outspoken critic of oppressive regimes, often at great personal risk. His activism extended beyond Nigeria, addressing global issues of injustice and human rights. During periods of military rule in Nigeria, he went into exile, continuing to write and speak against tyranny. Today, Soyinka is celebrated not only as a literary giant, but also as a symbol of resilience and moral courage.
Hello and welcome to Souq Pulse. It's a beautiful Friday edition of your program, and it's always exciting being here, knowing fully well that you are part of this, communicating, joining the conversation, sharing, watching, and being part of this communication. We say, don't stop. Today we are going to be looking at our brothers and sisters away from the shores of Africa. But before we get there, you always know, on Souq Pulse, we'll tell you the straight. Don't stop talking. Whenever you see businesses doing well, talk. Let them get better. And when they are not doing well, also talk. Let's look for what exactly is holding them down. When the economies are going down, inflation rate is hitting 30-something in certain African countries. It has gone way beyond that. When devaluation is happening to currencies, left, right, center, let's talk. When you get to see policies that you might understand, don't understand, ask questions, we talk. And policies that are good, we also talk, because we recommend, we say thank you, and we also say, hey, we can do better. We are trying to move nations forward. When we see Asia getting on policies that are working there, we ask, okay, why can we replicate it here? When we are doing business with the West, how are they having the bigger share of the chunk on profit? Where do we stand? We just talk. We check and we talk. It's Souq Pulse. We are going on a break. When we return, we'll tell you in details what we have for you today and also introduce our guests. So, hey, don't go anywhere. Souq Pulse will be right back. My name is Chooks, John Rogers Chooks. Stay there.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.